During the COVID-19 outbreak, you may have been the recipient of misinformation from your family or friends. Your gut reaction might have been to lay out all the reasons they're wrong, but experts say that approach may not be very effective.
I think during the current pandemic, a lot of the reason that people are turning to misinformation is because there are holes and gaps in our knowledge. Science doesn't have clear answers on a lot of things. We don't know exactly when it'll be safe for people to go out and eat. We don't know when it'll be safe for schools to open. And so there's this real void that misinformation can fill and give you kind of easy answers to these problems.
Before you address someone about spreading false information, Fazio told Newsy it's first worth asking whether they'll be open to this conversation.
What you don't want to do is get into kind of a nitty-gritty back and forth about I believe X, I believe Y, I believe X, I believe Y. If it's a close family friend or someone that you believe will be receptive to having a good faith discussion, then it can be worth getting more into the nitty-gritty details.
I would go into a DM or a text or a phone call or FaceTime or a Zoom call.
PolitiFact staff writer Daniel Funke says it's also necessary to consider the setting of the conversation.
People get less combative when they're presented with something in a genuine one-on-one conversation than if they're in public and you say, that's not right, here's why.
Fazio and Funke said it's crucial to think about what evidence you choose to present to convince misinformation spreaders of those falsehoods.
It can be really useful to point to kind of third-party sources that, so not just I believe X, but here's articles from the CDC or the American Medical Association or other kind of authoritative sources that have information on this.
Let's say I'm a conservative and I'm fact-checking my liberal aunt, right? I would try to pick I try to pick sources that I think she would trust over sources that I think I would trust, right? So I wouldn't give her a Fox News story because then she would immediately say Fox News is biased, right?
It's also important to know when to step away. Fazio told Newsy it's okay to stop engaging when the other person isn't making a good faith effort to have the conversation. Funke added that you should also consider your own well-being, as well as the misinformation spreaders when making this decision.
Say they believed that false claim, and they went out in public and went to bars or went to protests and didn't wear a mask. They might get sick themselves or they might sicken other people, and that's really dangerous. So if they're making claims like that, I would say it's worth the argument. It's worth the fight.
Tyler Adkisson, Newsy, Chicago.